SimWorld presents Around the Table with E and the Fat Man.
What's up, everybody? It's me, it's the B.O.B., and I'm here with my man, E.E. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. It's a little bit rainy out in my part of the world today, Bob, but hopefully it's okay for everybody, for you and for everybody else out there in SimWorld.
It's sunny out, it's warm out, and I hate it.
Mm.
But anyways,
Yeah, right. I know you. That's
this is
right.
Around the Table with E and the Fat Man. That is E. I am the Fat Man. This is the podcast we talk about whatever we want. Today, going to talk a little bit about maybe some players who we really weren't expecting a whole lot of from season one, or new players who we still really weren't expecting too much of them in their first season in SimWorld Prep. Some of them that have surprised us. So, E, as always, I'll let you do the honors. Who's your first one?
Let me go first. Well, first, before I throw out my first one, let me say, I'm not going to, and maybe you'll use one of these guys, who knows? But I think the two obvious ones, one imported, one domestic. Barney Janssen, the Icelandic, out of nowhere, in my opinion, superstar for SimWorld Atlantis, has been going nuts. I mean, that team now comfortably over 500, and it's all
Hmm.
because of that 6'5" forward. And I don't think that was a name that a single person knew before this season started. So, he's got to be up there. And then, you also got to mention Josiah Cook. Now, not too many 15-year-olds are going to roll into this league and, have the kind of big expectations. San Chungu is a 15-year-old who kind of did. We really haven't got to see him play much this year.
No.
Wasn't the case with Cook. And obviously, he's a legit MVP candidate. He's a legit Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But I don't want to talk about either one of those two guys because you already know those names. Everybody out there listening to this. First name I want to throw out there is a name that you know, but I think really for it's a name most people know. He's not a big star yet, but I think people would recognize that this is a definite pick on here, and that has to be, for my money, out of Japan, Leonardo Fields, 7'1", 200-pounder, who has just been a double machine for Asia Pacific this year, averaging 14 points, 9.7 rebounds, also 3.6 blocks, which puts him up among, I think, the top 5 among the leaders in the game.
Leading
He's been shooting the
leading
ball
that.
nicely.
Yeah, no, I was gonna
Huh?
say leading the entire team in field goal percentage. You were getting there
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, he's done it all. Heck, the guy's even made a 3-pointer, and he definitely doesn't have that skill in his bag of tricks yet. But he did splash one, 33% on the year. Not bad, Leonardo. Look, having that kind of size at this age, at this level, even at this high level that prep is, you're expected to perform, and you get funny looks if you don't. But that said, Leonardo Fields, APAC has really kind of overperformed this year. Even though they're not quite to 500 themselves, I think they've surprised a lot of people. They've been better than most a lot of people thought. And, I think before the season, people would have said that their success or failure this year was going to be entirely dependent upon the guys they brought back. Kai Newby, Victor Soto, Jinsong Deng, Devin Fields coming back, transferring in actually. And then, of course, Son Chungu. But the surprise player has really been the 16-year-old Leonardo Fields. The big man is the real deal. He's a high-level athlete, great defender, who is a plus player on the offensive end too. So, and he's coming back. He'll be back next year. So I don't think he's going to surprise anybody next year, but he'll be one of the best bigs in the game next year. He already is in this season.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, at 7'1", you don't see a lot of guys, a lot of kids at that age really knowing how to use their size and everything. But he's really shown that he can. Usually, you either get your. I think there's kind of a spectrum. You have your Victorious Ilgauskas on one side, and
Yeah.
then you have your Jason Crossers on the other side. One knows how to use their size. One still thinks that they're a 5'11" point guard.
Right.
And Leonardo Fields definitely leans on that Ilgauskas side of things. So I think
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good choice. I you mentioned your honorable mentions. I'm going to go ahead and
Mhm.
pick for my first pick. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to pick Janssen's two teammates, two guys that
Oh.
I didn't really think a whole lot of. I'm not saying I didn't think a whole lot of them, but I didn't know if the move to Atlantis or them playing for Atlantis together was really going to amount to a whole lot. statistically for them. But Mickey Hartman and Kenneth Klum
Yeah.
are two that, for
Hmm.
me, they are really showing that they are two of the top 3-point shooters in all of SimWorld Prep. I mean, Mickey Hartman, he is in the top 10 right now. Kenneth Klum, if he had one more three-pointer made, he would be in the top 10 of three-pointers made in SimWorld Prep. So I think those two, they've they've shown to me that they're showing their worth. And they were guys that I'm like, okay, they were complaining a little bit about playing time as 16-year
Yeah.
olds, and I mean they're 16 years old. I'm moving them. What's going to really happen? It was just there was a whole lot of question marks about them, and to me, just what they've been able to show behind Johnson, behind Keontae Smith, even Keontae Smith he's a solid player. Like clearly,
Have a nice year.
Mickey Hartman and Klum were not really two that you were going to go, yeah, they're going to be up there. But yeah,
Right.
they're surprising me. Not with just how many they've made, but their efficiency as well. They're both shooting over 50% from three. So it's not like they're just throwing it up, throwing it up, throwing it up, and they're making three, but they're shooting 10 or 12.
Yeah.
They're both hitting over 50% of the clip, and I just think these teammates say it'll be real interesting to see what they do once they make the jump to SimWorld U, once they make the jump up to the pros and everything like that. But they personally, again, they have surprised me because I didn't think that they were really going to do a whole lot. I thought they were going to be relegated to bench role players, and
Hmm.
they're playing their role, and they're playing their role really well. Again, being both of them, you have two teammates who are essentially in the top 10 for three-pointers made. That's a recipe for success, and like I said, just adding Bargnani in there, that that team is going to look a little scary now that they're really getting things worked out. 14-10, they're currently 3-2 in their last five. But I
Yeah.
think once the race to one hits, I think that they could really make a splash, and they can
It's
thank a lot of that to Coach Kusa too.
Yeah, it's a good team. It's a dangerous team. Before the start of the season, they imported Kenneth Klum and Mickey Hartman. They also brought in Nathaniel Zilberman, all three from Israel. Zilberman, is just
Yeah.
behind those guys. He hasn't been as ridiculous. He's not shooting better than 50% from three, but he's right on 40.
Yeah.
He's been pouring them in too.
Yeah.
Those three. It's an interesting team, Atlantis. There's not necessarily like there's not a floor general necessarily on this team. It'd be interesting to see what Atlantis would look like, maybe with like Vincent Magic running the show. Because Klum, Hartman, and Zilberman. Well, Zilberman can even play as a forward, but they're all shooters. They're not real creators. Zahid Pearson's out of Jamaica on Atlantis is probably the most pure point guard on the squad. Leads the team in assists actually, and he only plays 15 minutes a game. Yeah, all those guys have been shooting. I mean, it's just a
Hmm.
dangerous team. They can shoot, they can score. Keontae Smith and Guido Parmasini have been playing well down low. I mean, it's
Oh
not
yeah.
a lot of weaknesses on this Atlantis team. Not a lot of weaknesses in Klum and Hartman's games. So I like that pick from you, Bob. And well, you cheated a little bit, Bob.
I
You've gotten
did.
two picks in that first pick, but I'll let you go ahead and get your second, technically your third pick
All
now.
right. So I'm gonna have to go with. I mean, he's flying up the player rankings right now for SimWorld Prep, and he wasn't on his team for the entire season. There was actually a little bit of controversy with this particular player as he was kicked off of his team early in the season because of some controversy. And I'm gonna have to go with the Norse Zundabazaka. He has
Yeah.
just really. I I thought that he would be a player in a season. He would probably really stand out. And then when he joined the North, I'm like, okay, he's going to play third fiddle, fourth fiddle, fifth fiddle, whatever. He was probably not going to be the second or third option on this team. And as of right now, I mean, he's shot up. He's passed Akeem Young in scoring. He's averaging 15.2 a game. He has really shown what kind of player he could have been. And again, I understand there were some issues that there was the way some things were handled with him, Coach Drees, in Philadelphia that both sides could have probably handled it a little bit better. but I think this is a good redemption story for Mazaka.
Hmm.
Again, he's going to be the leader of this North team next season because Alex Rodriguez is gone, Akeem Young is gone,
Right.
and I want to say it's a little crazy to me. Uh, Alex Rodriguez is not ranked. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know. I know. He's struggled so much with his shot over the years, and it's been more that they've kind of forced him into situations where he has to take bad shots less than his ability. He look fine. Keep him unranked. He's going to end up at a high level college program, and he's going to be very good there.
It blows my mind. We're talking about the third leader, the number three player in three pointers made in SimWorld Prep. Whereas
Hmm.
we're saying that
Hmm.
he he is one of the, is he a volume shooter sometimes? Maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit, but he's
Hmm.
shooting
Hmm.
just under 50% from three. He's shooting 42% from the field overall. Uh,
I have an
kind of
upside.
crazy. Kind of crazy that he is unranked. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Azunda Mazaka, again, I really wasn't expecting a whole lot of him with all the players, even Donovan Bird Culver. That kid, I don't
Yeah,
know what's going on with him, but he's going to be a star at the next level. And Enzo Wolf, I really like, obviously, Enzo Wolf.
I like that though.
Yeah, he's got a he's a he's a kid that you're always going to root for. But yeah,
Yes.
Mazaka again, his ability to score, and he's not terrible at three. He's a little over 40%. He's made 26 on the year, but shooting
Yep.
about 53%, almost 54% from the field. He's the second highest on the team. Yeah, I just Mazaka really he really just his ability has slapped me in the face because I just was not expecting anything from him this year, especially with that little. I'm like, okay, he's gonna. There's that big bump. It was a big bump, a big bump in the road. And what are we really gonna see from him? He's gonna need a little bit of time to warm up and get used to his teammates. That honeymoon phase, that was a. This is a long honeymoon phase if he's still in it, but he jumped right in. He kind of reminds me of whenever Josh Dobbs joined the Vikings last season. It's like, oh, we got two big games. He brought it back. Oh, there's two wins and he's gone. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I'm waiting for that drop off, but I really don't think it's going to be there because Mazaka has the talent. I just didn't think it was going to show this soon.
Okay. No, I like that pick. I actually think that Mazaka hasn't been able to show everything he can do yet, either with Philly or with the North. He's been impressive with the scoring and the shooting. You just kind of outlined that, but I actually think that his signature talent is he's got great vision, he's got great hands, he's a great passer. He can be that kind of floor general guy. Haven't necessarily asked him to do that much. He's been more of a scorer up in Canada this year, but I absolutely believe one of his signature traits, one of his signature skills is going to be in that regard too. So yeah, coming back next year, I assume he'll come back to the North, and I assume that they're going to kind of build that team around him. So yeah, and another one I like is certainly somebody who wasn't on my radar. I'll go ahead and give my final one now, Bob, and I'll see if this is a player who you even know that much about. I have a feeling this is somebody who, I don't know, just haven't heard his name talked about a lot. Maybe I'm wrong, about to find out. But I'm taking it back to the global game again, going international. Last time I went to Tokyo, this time I'm going to Sydney, Australia. Oceania, again, another one of these surprising global teams. They fought their way to 500 on the season. And I think that Damian Luffy is probably, their big star player, averaging 20 points a game. He's great. But the other American on the Oceania squad, the number two leading scorer on the team, is Jarrell Beauchamp out of Carson City, Nevada, averaging just under 19 points a game and dishing out a little bit more than 4 assists per contest. He is your kind of offensive creation, do it all sort of guy. I would put it that way, and he's really impressed me. One of probably the best, I think, in the entire SimWorld prep level in terms of being a dual threat, assisting and scoring. It's really kind of a 50-50 proposition for a player like Beauchamp. Can create either way. He's a very high level athlete, which I don't think people appreciate. 6'1", 180-pound guard. And he can also shoot a little bit. I mean, obviously, you don't get to 19 points a game if you can't hit it, broadside of a barn kind of a thing. 49%, just a little bit under from field goal on the year, and he actually has been prolific from deep, just not terribly efficient. He has made 31, but he's shooting just above 30%. But look, the release point, the skills, the motion, the everything is all there. Jarrell Beauchamp, he is going to, this will be his last season, but he's made a big mark. And I think he has a bright career at the U level coming up for him too.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing to me is that before the season started, he was being highly touted, and then he decided to make this jump to SimWorld Oceania, and I think all of a sudden it was just like it was the Luffy show, the Luffy show.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't feel like I really don't feel like we talk about Beauchamp too much anymore.
We don't.
It
We
was
don't.
he's having a very very good year. He is. I do want to apologize to everybody. I was having a little bit of a glitch in the system earlier when I said that Alex Rodriguez was unranked. The system that I have, a little messed up. It's technology. He's actually composite 27th ranked overall.
Okay. All right.
I was showing him as unranked, and
Still too low.
I thought that was a little crazy, but it's just me. But I mean, Beauchamp as a player who sitting in the 247 rankings, we have Beauchamp at 13. SimWorld TV, we have Beauchamp sitting at 20. ESPN, we have Beauchamp sitting at, can't think of it off the top of my head. Where are we at? Top 10. Number 10, maybe. The fact that this is a kid who is so highly ranked but never talked about is crazy to
Yeah.
me. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, why are we not talking? Is it just because?
Yeah.
And I will be the first to say I have a bias against the international teams because they consistently let me down. And I mean, it's gonna be because of Europe from season one when they were supposed to
Yeah.
be this
Yeah.
great
I
amazing
know it.
team, and it was just
I
sorry,
know
the
it.
ground zero season, I should say. It's just
Yes. Yes. Yes.
there's this bias against international teams, and they go on these long losing streaks where they're not really winning a whole lot, so you kind of push them to the back and you don't really worry about them. And that's when players like Beauchamp, like, he is
Yeah.
starring for, if it wasn't for Luffy, I mean, he would probably be the one that we're primarily talking about. But you usually do, you pick one player from an international team and
Yeah.
like you stick with them.
Yeah. And they
So
get to be your guy. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Beauchamp flying a little bit under the radar, but I don't think college coaches, not all of them, are going to miss out on him. You watch a little tape and you can see what he does.
absolutely. And speaking of college, SimWorld U,
Mhm.
Kentucky kicked off a little bit earlier. They're about 8 minutes into the game, and they're currently leading Arkansas 10-8. So
Nice.
I am
Go
holding.
DJ, veteran.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that whole team. If Kentucky doesn't win out, I understand they just lost one of their last two games. If they don't win the SimWorld U, if they don't win Bedlam, man, I I
Wouldn't
don't
be
know.
surprising. Would
It
be
so
surprising.
it would be, but would it be with Calipari as the coach? I'm just saying, if there's a first round exit for Kentucky, I'm not going to be too shocked. Are you?
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely not.
Yeah, but no,
Gotten too used to him to be shocked by it.
but no, I mean that's a great pick. You got what you had, Beauchamp. I had Mickey Hartman, Kenneth Klum, Azunda Mazaka, and then your first pick was Leonardo Fields.
Right.
Those are all solid players. They're just
We could put together a
not.
nice little squad with those guys, couldn't we?
We could, and we probably win a couple games, maybe. I guess depends on who's coaching. If you coach, we might win a couple. If I do, I don't know. We might go winless. I'm not sure. But yeah, solid picks. Well, I appreciate you. Do you have any final words for the people?
Oh, I appreciate you too, always, Bob, and I just hope everybody's having a good weekend out there. And yeah, we got the U tournament going on
Hmm.
here. We got a lot of new hoops starting again on SimWorld TV on Tuesday. Should be a good fun week, and just thanks you all for being with us.
Absolutely. Speaking of the U tournament, I know we got word about an hour before the show, couple of games. I say a couple of games. There was a whole lot of games that happened, but Houston absolutely blew out Tulane.
Yeah.
Houston blew out
Yep.
Tulane. There was Miami continuing to roll, but the bigger shocker to me was that Lorenzo Phenom's Michigan squad lost to Cooper Kinchy Cross's Maryland squad. Can you believe that?
Hey, CKC,
I
two legends. I love it.
I know, but Lorenzo Phenom is on an absolute tear. But I just and I don't want to I don't want to upset you because I'm sure you want to forget it, E. But Indiana did unfortunately lose to Nebraska. I know you. I don't want to bring it back
Yeah,
up, but you know it.
yeah. We'll just let that lie. It's fine.
Well, E, again, I appreciate you as always. I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend.
Later, folks.